I wasn't invited to my sister Mia's wedding. Not even a text. Not a call. Nothing. It was a deliberate cut, clean and cold, like she had sliced me off the family tree and watched the branch fall. But that's how things had been ever since last Christmas. The silent glares, the whispered accusations, the lies they all seemed eager to believe, lies about me, about what I said, what I did. So when I saw the wedding announcement on Instagram, her in a white lace gown kissing a man she had met barely a year ago, my mother smiling behind her, my father beaming like a proud fool, I didn't cry. I smiled. Because I knew something they didn't. I was in Washington, thousands of miles away from the villa they had rented in Charleston for the grand event. I had no intention of going, not anymore. But I had a front row seat to everything. They just didn't know it. It started 6 months before the wedding, when MIA introduced Nathan. Something about him never sat right with me. He was too polished, too charming, like he had studied how to behave. I said as much to her over dinner one night. "You're jealous," she snapped, swirling her wine. "Just because you're single." "No," I said. "I just want you to be careful. Something feels off." She rolled her eyes and told me I could leave if I was going to be negative. Apparently, she told our parents I had attacked her. That I had called her stupid, said she was marrying a fraud. I never said those words, not exactly, but once a lie gets dressed up and passed around at a family table, it becomes truth. Within a week, I was out of the group chats. My mother stopped answering my calls. Dad sent me a one-liner email, "Don't ruin this for her." So I didn't. I stayed silent. But I kept watching. In my spare time, between classes at Georgetown where I taught political ethics, I started looking into Nathan. Not out of spite, but instinct. When you grow up in a family that buries truth under carpeted smiles, you learn how to dig. Nathan was good. His records were clean, his resume polished. But there were gaps. Places where dates didn't match. Jobs that didn't leave a paper trail. And then I found her. Sabrina. She posted an old photo of her and Nathan, back when he was Caleb. Smiling, holding a child. A child. He had a daughter. I messaged her. She didn't reply at first. Then one evening, she did. "You're his fiancé's sister? You might want to call me." I did. What she told me unraveled everything. Nathan wasn't just a father, he was a criminal. He had been married twice, both times under different names. He disappeared from each relationship the moment things got complicated, always with money missing, always with a fresh story to tell. Sabrina said he had taken $80,000 from her father's business before vanishing. The man was a con artist, a liar, and he had reinvented himself again, now as Nathan, the charming fiancé of my naive, desperate sister. I wanted to storm back into their lives, throw the evidence on the table, scream, "I told you so," but they wouldn't listen. So I waited. The wedding was set for June 14th. I made a quiet decision to burn him. I created a folder. Inside, I placed everything: screenshots, bank records, testimonies, copies of old arrest records. I hired a lawyer friend to notarize the report and sent an anonymous package to the wedding venue's front desk with clear instructions: deliver this to the bride the night before the wedding. Then I waited. On the morning of June 14th, I made a coffee, opened my laptop, and watched the world burn. The news came in pieces. First, Mia's wedding planner posted a cryptic story: "Some things fall apart to reveal the truth." Then, one of Mia's friends posted a photo, the reception room half empty, guests whispering. By noon, someone leaked the cancellation notice: "The wedding of MIA Carter and Nathan Cole has been postponed due to unforeseen circumstances." Unforeseen, my ass. That afternoon, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called again. And again. By the 5th time, I picked up. "What did you do?" she hissed. I laughed. "I saved her." "You ruined her life." "No," I said, calm. "I just showed her the man she was marrying. The rest. That's on you." Silence. Then, soft sobbing. "She's devastated," my mother whispered. "She's alive," I said. "Be grateful." Later that week, MIA called me. Her voice was hoarse, exhausted. "I should have listened to you." "Yeah. I was stupid. You were. I'm sorry. I wanted to hate her. I wanted to throw her betrayal back in her face, remind her how she cut me out, how she let them isolate me. But I didn't. Because revenge, when done right, isn't cruel. It's clean. Next time, I said, trust your gut. Not theirs. She cried quietly. Then she asked, can I come stay with you for a while? I hesitated. But then, I said yes. Not because I had forgiven her, not yet. But because this time, she had chosen me. And that was a start. MIA arrived in Washington 2 days later. She looked like someone who had lived through a war. Her makeup was smudged with leftover grief, her luggage barely zipped shut, her eyes hollow. I opened the door, and for a full minute, we just stared at each other. Then she collapsed into my arms. For the first time in over a year, I held my little sister and didn't feel anger. Just sadness. She smelled like unfamiliar perfume and salt. I have nothing left, she whispered. You have me, I said. We didn't talk much the first day. She slept on my couch like a broken doll, curled up under the throw blanket I once got her for her birthday, a gift she had left behind in our parents' house. Funny how things came full circle. By the third day, she was finally ready to talk. I didn't read the full file at first, she admitted over coffee. I was too numb. I thought maybe it was a mistake. It wasn't. I know. I read everything the morning after. I threw up twice. Her hands trembled as she spoke, but I didn't interrupt. This was her purge. He had photos of us. Fake stories about how we met. Even convinced Dad to invest in his startup idea. My stomach twisted. How much? $200,000. I exhaled slowly. She flinched. Dad's blaming me, of course. Said I was reckless, said I embarrassed him in front of all his business friends. He told me to fix it or never come back. He actually said that. She nodded, eyes red. Mom's not talking to me either. She keeps saying I shamed the family. Jesus. I leaned back, fury boiling quietly beneath my ribs. It was classic. Our parents never changed. Image over integrity. Appearances over actual love. I was trying to protect you, I said. I know that now. I was just too far gone to hear it. She sipped her coffee slowly. He told me everything I wanted to hear. That I was beautiful, smart, strong. He made me feel like I mattered, like I was more than just their other daughter. I frowned. What does that mean? She looked at me, and in her eyes, I saw years of resentment I never knew she held. You were always the one people admired. The one with the degrees. The career. The brain. I was just MIA. You were never just MIA. She gave a brittle laugh. Try growing up in your shadow. Every time I did something, they compared me to you. Even when I got engaged, Mom said, well, let's hope this one lasts longer than Emma's relationships. I blinked. That hurt. But I didn't argue. Because she was right, not about me, but about them. We were both victims of the same rot. It just reached us differently. Over the next week, MIA stayed with me. Slowly, she began to rebuild. She started therapy, something I offered to help pay for, but she insisted on covering herself. She cooked dinner one night, badly, but it was the best spaghetti I'd ever had. We walked through the National Gallery, and for the first time, I saw her genuinely smile. Then, one morning, she opened her inbox and gasped. What is it? I asked. It's him. Nathan. He had emailed her from a burner account, begging for forgiveness. He says it was all a misunderstanding. That I misunderstood the money. That he's in love with me. I grabbed her phone before she could respond. No. She flinched. You don't owe him anything. Not even a reply. I know, she said. But part of me wants to tell him off. Then write it. Don't send it. Burn it if you have to. She nodded. I watched as she opened a Word doc and began typing furiously. Anger, heartbreak, betrayal, all of it poured out of her like a river finally free from a dam. When she finished, she hit delete. Her hands stopped shaking after that. 2 weeks later, our parents showed up. Unannounced. I opened the door and found my mother standing with her arms crossed, our father behind her, sunglasses hiding his expression. "We came to talk," she said. "Didn't know you remembered where I lived," I said flatly. "Please," my father added. "It's about MIA. I didn't move. But MIA did." She stepped up behind me, chin raised, voice steady. "I'm not coming home." Our mother blinked. "This isn't healthy. You've locked yourself away with her." "With Emma, you mean?" MIA snapped. "The only person who actually told me the truth." "You don't understand the damage this has caused," my father said. "We're ruined socially." "Good," I said. "Maybe now you'll learn to value truth over parties." My mother's face turned red. "Don't talk to us like that. We're still your parents." "Then act like it," MIA said quietly. A silence thicker than cement settled between us. They didn't apologize. "Not really." My dad offered vague lines like we just wanted what's best. My mom insisted she had been misled. But neither of them said I'm sorry. So we didn't say we forgive you. They left within 15 minutes. That night, MIA didn't cry. She sat beside me on the balcony, drinking wine and watching the stars. "I think I'm finally done chasing them," she said. "Good," I said. They never deserved the chase. MIA stayed for another month. She got a remote job doing graphic design for a small firm. She found a tiny studio nearby. We still had Sunday brunch together. She laughed more. I stopped waking up with resentment heavy on my chest. Then, one day, she said, "I think I'm ready to start over." "Where?" "Anywhere. Maybe Portland. Or Chicago. Somewhere I can just be me." She left the next week. We hugged for a long time. She cried. I didn't until she was gone. But I knew we were finally sisters again. Not out of guilt or obligation, but choice. 3 months later, I got a letter in the mail. From Sabrina, Nathan's ex. "He's been arrested," she wrote. "Wire fraud. Identity theft. Turns out your file helped law enforcement connect him to 3 other aliases. I wanted to thank you." I smiled, folded the letter, and placed it in my desk drawer. Poetic justice. MIA and I still talk every week. She adopted a dog. She's dating someone, slowly, carefully. She sent me a photo last week of them at a farmer's market. Her eyes are bright again. As for our parents, we haven't heard from them in months. Sometimes I wonder if they'll ever try to mend the pieces. But I'm no longer waiting for that. Because some families are made of blood. And some, like ours, are made again in truth, in healing, in the wreckage of betrayal. I didn't ruin the wedding. I saved my sister's life. And in doing so, I saved mine too. It was a Saturday morning in February when I saw the email. Subject line, "Regarding your parents' estate." I almost deleted it, thinking it was spam. But something made me open it. Inside was a formal message from a law firm in Charleston. My father had been hospitalized, heart attack. Not fatal, but serious. The attorney explained that both he and my mother had requested a meeting with me and MIA. Something about clarifying succession matters and resolving outstanding family discrepancies. I laughed out loud. MIA called me 3 minutes later. "You got it too, right?" she asked, her voice dry. I did. "And no, I'm not going." "Neither am I. But, part of me wants to hear what they have to say. Just once. For the record." I knew what she meant. Sometimes, closure isn't for them. It's for us. We flew down together. Charleston hadn't changed. Still old world rich, full of pastel buildings and brittle charm. The meeting was set at a private office near the harbor. My parents were already seated when we arrived. Dad looked older. Fragile. A shell of the man who used to command boardrooms and scold waiters for serving wine too warm. Mom looked exactly the same, pressed blouse, pearl earrings, a tight smile. "Thank you for coming," Dad said, voice gravelly. "We Saturday." The lawyer went through the formalities. Then he left us alone for 10 minutes. "Just family. I wanted to see you both," Dad said, hands folded. "In case something happens." "You mean like abandoning your daughter at her own fake wedding?" I said. He flinched. MIA remained silent. I wasn't a good father, he admitted. Not to you, Emma. Not to MIA either. My mother stirred uncomfortably. Now's not the time for. Yes, he said sharply. It is. MIA looked at him, eyes hard. Then say it. All of it. Don't soften it for her sake. He looked at us both, then down at his hands. I wanted perfect daughters. Not real ones. I pushed you to be versions of yourselves that made me look successful. Not who you actually were. And when we didn't match the picture, I asked. I punished you. I chose my image over your truth. Over your safety. That man, Nathan, if Emma hadn't stepped in. He swallowed, unable to finish. I would have lost both of you. One to a con man, the other to silence. MIA spoke softly. Why didn't you believe her? He looked at my mother. Because we didn't want to. We liked the story we had already written. Mom finally spoke. Her voice was thin, brittle. I wanted the wedding to fix everything. All the shame, all the distance. I thought if MIA got married, we could pretend things were fine. You mean if we played our roles, right? I asked. Like props in your little play. She winced. I don't know how to love people who disappoint me. MIA looked at her, and for the first time, I saw real pain in her eyes. I spent most of my life trying not to disappoint you. And it nearly killed me. The room was silent. Then Dad said, I put both your names back in the will. I don't care, I said. MIA shook her head too. This wasn't about money, she said. We came for truth. Dad looked at us, teary-eyed. I'm sorry. And for the first time, I believed him. We didn't hug. No big emotional swell. But when we walked out, something had shifted. Not healed. But cracked open. And that was a start. 6 months later, MIA launched a podcast. The Uninvited, a series about family estrangement, betrayal, and healing. Her 3rd episode was titled, I Got Cut from My Sister's Wedding, Then I Saved Her. She asked if I'd be a guest. I said yes. We sat in her new apartment in Chicago, microphones between us, talking like sisters again. Raw. Unscripted. We told the whole story. The lies. The silence. The revenge. The healing. People started writing in. Hundreds of messages from listeners who had been cut out of weddings, betrayed by family, ghosted by blood. They told us we weren't alone. MIA cried reading some of them. We built something, she said. Out of the wreckage. And we had. 1 year later, we went back to Charleston. Not to visit our parents, but to attend a domestic abuse awareness fundraiser Sabrina was hosting. MIA was the keynote speaker. She stood in a gold dress, head held high, telling her story to a room full of strangers who now saw her not as a victim, but a survivor. She didn't collapse, I said to a woman beside me. Who? She asked. My sister, I replied. She rose. On the flight home, MIA asked me, do you ever think we'll be close to Mom and Dad again? I thought for a long moment. No. But I think we'll be okay with that someday. And we are. Because family isn't always the people who raised you. Sometimes, it's the people who stood beside you when it all came crashing down and helped you build again.